Hi there. Oh, welcome to Tech Talk Weekly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our weekly show where we give you 3 or 4 interesting tech and science stories in the news this week, get you on your way in about 20 minutes or so. Today, I have Hadi from the studio at Main Library. How are you doing, Hadi?
I'm good. Thank you. How you doing?
I am good. I am broadcasting from a different location. Hopefully, the sound and everything's going to be perfectly good for us. We've had some power outages here in a couple of spots in Broward County here, so it'll be a bit interesting. But that cough there, Hadi, you know what I think you need? I think you need some ice cream.
Oh, yeah. Especially for my sore throat.
Yeah. Links are in the chat for everybody, by the way, but this is really a Broward County one because we're bragging. Out of the National Ice Cream Day is on the 20th. Making sure I got that day right. Correct? The 20th? Yeah. July 20th is National Ice Cream Day. And so the summer list came out of all the ice cream places around the country, rated on reviews and all these other things. Broward County has the number 2 ice cream place in the country, which is right around the corner from us, from our Northwest Regional Library, actually. Mm-hmm. But better than that, we have 2 more in the top 100. 3 of the top 100 ice cream places in the full United States are here within 10 miles of our library. This is insane. This is just craziness. You were telling me, Hadi, which one of these did you try and go to?
Magic Cow. And that one's always packed.
Yeah. It's just so it's a beginning of summer. We needed some good news today, so ice cream was my pick. And please, go check out the article. You've got something in every state's represented. Everybody's got some place that's good. Just Broward's got it better than everybody else right now. That's all.
Yeah, not even Miami.
No. Oh, come now. Come. We're way. Let's not even consider. Jeez, oh, Pete. Okay, but there is something that is really good news also. And that is something I know we don't ever do a story on something that's not available right now for you to use. But this is such good news. They've got a brand new neural brain interface, an implant, that in the initial testing, so it's not available for everybody yet, but the testing of it has been done and completed, and it changes it from minutes to milliseconds for translation of language for someone with a brain injury. It's an insane leap. This is a huge leap forward because instead of actually trying to speak, if you have a brain impairment, if you have anything, Stephen Hawking is what they bring up in the article. If you have an issue with that, it tries to guess what your words are going to be and then puts it out. So it takes a lot of processing. This, now you just think about talking and it talks for you. Can you imagine, Hadi, how much better life is going to be for some people?
Oh, yeah. And then we're not too far away from, using brainwaves to control things then.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. It's as you dig deeper into this article, what are the hesitancies about it? It's 40% accurate right now. It's 95% accurate if you use a transcript. So if you agree on what the words are ahead of time, somebody sets up their words of what they want to do, and the interface knows what words are coming, it can still interpret the words properly from the thought process of the person 95% of the time. And if it's just purely guessing at random things you're trying to think up, it's accurate at 40% of the time right out of the box right now, before they've even been working on a vast majority of people that could use it. So this is just going to get so fast, so good, and then you'll just be able to think and have things do stuff for you because it'll interpret all of your language just like regular, normal spoken words. Is that crazy?
That's actually pretty amazing, especially when you know, when they did the unaided speech with like the word error, like getting
Yeah.
up to 96.43% or something.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just like the beginning. And, you know, maybe they'll, who knows if they're going to add something where it starts to learn from the speech patterns of that person.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. And as the algorithms get better, it's just going to be so much nicer for everybody. This is one of those leading off with two really good, cool stories today. It's great. Are you cool, Hadi?
Yes, I am.
I don't know if I am. I don't quite think that I am. And this article, and it's from the American Psychological Association. We've got in the show notes for you, we've got not only the link to the article explaining it, we've got the actual study and the full PDF. How many pages is this thing? 22 pages on are you cool and how do you know you're cool? And this is a study not just of Western society. This goes across multiple different types of societies, multiple different types of things. And in general, if you think you're cool, you might very well be cool. And if you don't think you're cool, you might be cool because other people think you are. And because they think you are, that makes you cool to yourself, which means it's a self-reinforcement loop, which means you think you're cool, so now you're cool. And I think it gets a little too self-referential at one point for me.
You know, it's, yeah. Although it's so hard to define cool. Although you know, when you tell someone like, what do you think is cool? I bet like half the people in my generation would be like, yeah, the picture of the Fonz.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that this one here is how they defined it in their terms, because it was the people in the study that defined what made cool. You had to be likable or admirable, and you had to be similar to good people. First, everybody had to qualify what was a good person versus a bad person. Because if you're a bad person, you can't be cool.
Nope, you're just a jerk then.
Yeah, exactly. And then if you're cool, you have a good moral sense. You have this good thing, but then you're a little bit more hedonistic and other things going on in your life. And that's what makes it feel cool to both yourself and others. I was like, that's an interesting one. I never really thought about the idea that if I don't think I'm cool, I can still be cool because other people make me think I'm cool, but I don't believe I'm cool. As I said, we're getting too self-referential here, and we got other stories to talk about, but it's definitely something to go in and read, because the one thing that I really liked about the study is they went across multiple cultures and took what the interpretation of cool, that word, for each of the different language groups and everything like that, to compare, to say, okay, well, here you're in Australia, United States, Europe, Malaysia, non-Western places added into this whole thing, and it still matches up across the whole thing. So I was pretty on board with this one. Now, two more studies for you. These are both coming from Rest of World, which I'm certain you've seen before on this show. And if you haven't ever visited their site, please go do. They've got some amazing articles written from a global perspective. And this one is really global because it's talking about satellite internet. How many people do you think need satellite internet, Hadi?
How many people
Need it?
Probably 4 to 5 million.
Yeah.
Or no, million, like probably in the billions, like that need something like this. Yeah, probably tens of millions, maybe hundreds.
Hundreds of millions of people. Let's just scroll down here to a map. So there are 350 million people on the planet right now who do not have access to 3G internet. 2G is barely better than DSL, and it's questionable whether it is or not. So we've got over 350 million people on this planet that are still at DSL or less. And remember, 2G is when your phone was available, had enough power and connectivity to run apps. That's when the iPhone and other phones started coming out using apps. That's what you need, is a minimum of 2G. So we're talking about a good chunk of the population of the planet doesn't even have a good enough internet to do that. So
I mean, 20 years ago, DSL was like considered like the peak for like at least home internet use, because I know other places had like T1 connections and so like if you had a T1 connection, you were really like speeding along.
Nowadays that's nothing. So this is a good map here of showing from light to dark. The darkest areas are the ones that have the slowest, weakest availability of internet. And you'll notice some of the sections in Southwest Asia, in Sub-Saharan Africa, Cuba, as a well-known place that does not have internet. They do a full sneakernet kind of version there for things. And if you're like, Bob, wait, Starlink, they've got all this other great stuff out there. No. Only 70 countries outside of the West have access to Starlink right now. So it's been shut off in China, in India, in Ukraine, in a good chunk of Northern Africa as countries. And population-wise, it's only about a third of the population of the planet even has access to it. And we're not access as in equipment. We're talking, it doesn't matter if you could afford to buy the equipment. It just doesn't work in your area. Tell me, Hadi.
Yeah, I was also going to comment, like one of the other countries is Turkmenistan that doesn't have like any sort of internet access.
Yeah. Now there's another one, OneWeb, that is a direct competition with Starlink. They cover a lot more countries, and they cover all of Africa, which is the key differentiator between these countries. Go through this. It's a very nice, fun, interesting one. I'm going to leave with this one last bit. There's one from China and one from Amazon, two other competing satellite networks that haven't really gotten off the ground yet. They claim they're going to represent the entire planet, but they haven't made it off the ground really. There's a handful of Amazon ones up there, and I'm only aware of one launch that China's done at all with their satellite internets. So there's not even enough to actually qualify as a provider yet. Now, we're going to get into all that later on. I am certain in the near future, because one of the things this talks about is more Starlink launches and interfering with astronomy and all these things. But we've got the big bad article of the week, which is not the United States ruling about internet privacy and internet regulations. It's about the Brazilian Supreme Court ruling on their internet responsibilities and privacy and. Okay, Hadi, before I go on a rant, you start off.
First things first, one of the funniest comments I heard about this is there's going to be a massive job openings in content moderation in Brazil. But the other thing is, like, I'm on the fence on this. Like, while I kind of agree with the spirit of the decision by the court, it's going to be hard. Like, you know, like what's going to happen is like social media companies are just going to like simply comply by like automate. Like they're probably either going to not like do business in Brazil, like cut themselves out, or they'll just like start mass censoring everything just to like keep it safe. you know. And what's going to happen is like, you know, it's going to get to a point where something like Google will just, you know, will just like simply block out large portions of like other sites or like content just to like comply, because in the article it was saying before it would just require a court order. Now it's just like, you know, if there's evidence of like no due diligence, which I don't know the exact standard. I'm not a lawyer, but on the other side of the things, one of the things I'm not liking is like more and more like Google's allowing like certain advertisements, like scammers, to like get into like you know, like insert like advertisements into Gmail. And like, oh man, the amount of like slop on like Facebook now, like just auto-generated AI content, is a little bit tiring, and like it's like the visual version of spam. So yeah.
Yeah. So here's all right. My take on partly on this is so much that, as you said, the intent is good. We don't want people to lie on the internet, and we want to hold somebody responsible if they lie. However, the problem becomes who will be held responsible for the lie. None of this falls on the person who did the lying. None of this court ruling. There is zero responsibility. So if I go on there, if I was in Brazil and I go on the internet and I lie about what the government is doing, the internet company that allowed me to go online to do that is the one responsible, not me. Yeah. If I lie about a company or if I lie about a business, I can't be held personally responsible under this ruling. If I lie about you, Hadi, online, you can come after me in a civil case, but you can also, and the government will, go after the internet provider saying they are responsible for allowing me to lie about you. That's
and if I read the article, like, you know, Brazil has hundreds of millions of users. So like, yeah, can you imagine like those hundreds, like out of those hundreds of millions of users, trying to moderate through essentially billions of comments, like daily, monthly, weekly, you know, like, and then like now a company is now being held liable for if they miss just one comment or like post or, you know, even video. Well, that's where I see where the problem is.
Yeah. That is a huge problem. And then one of the other issues with that I can see coming out of this ruling is, to my understanding, it's not about what you post starting today or yesterday because of the date of the ruling. It's about what's already on your site. So Meta, who owns Instagram, is supposed to go back and remoderate any comments that are on their site prior to today. It's the scale. It's a great idea, maybe, if you didn't understand how the internet works.
Yeah.
But just the pure scale of it, and as that tease and comment you said at the beginning there, content moderation jobs are going to go through the roof if you have to try and moderate all these things. I just can't. I
don't know. It would be like trying to hold AT&T liable for every bad conversation on a phone.
Yeah. I mean, we can't even hold them liable for spam calls yet here in the United States. So, which we know why they're spam calls, because those people are paying AT&T to make the call. So that's why AT&T doesn't get rid of them. But that's a different issue. All phone carriers, not just AT&T.
For another show.
That's another show. But it is summer learning still in Broward County libraries. Hadi, what's going on there at the studio?
Well, we have some programs coming up, later this month. We're going to have some painting, some gaming. We're right now we're working on a budget for programming for later on in the year, and we're looking for some exciting changes here.
Speaking of painting, if you are in South Florida, you should get down to Maine Library, the new Highwayman exhibit.
Yep.
Doing live.
And we have Maine After Night.
Yeah, it's going to be it's an awesome thing up on the 6th floor. Okay, let's wrap this up. Send people on their way. Everybody have a happy holiday weekend. If you're in the United States, and if you're not in the United States, you still have a good, happy weekend. Okay, everybody go out there. Reach out to us. Creation Station at broward.org, and we'll see everybody next week.